Hello everyone, welcome to Sister Business.
Hello,
What
Amy here.
episode? What episode are we on now? Episode 7?
7.
Ooh,
Exciting.
it's
A
exciting.
milestone when we get to 10.
I know, 10 weeks of Sister Business.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, 7 weeks. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So good.
it is good. I find this podcast really, really helpful for my own sanity.
Good, because you said you weren't feeling too good today, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I have, in this lockdown, I have like dips and peaks and dips, you know? So some days I feel really like driven by the success of like how well my students are doing and motivated myself. And then other days it just kind of it dips and there isn't
Yeah.
really a reason for it. I think it's just the nature of things at the moment. I think it's just yeah,
Okay.
highs and
I
lows.
think it is. It's just, I think everyone's feeling a bit of a lull at the minute. And I mean, we're in that point where the weather's not great either. But we have got next month to look forward to. I do believe that beer gardens will be opening.
Maybe we'll bring my mic and we'll record Sister Business sat in a beer garden.
That'd be cool.
That would be so nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm so excited
That'd be
for
good.
that.
I was just gonna say that I've had the vaccine. Just to put it out there, we've
That's
got
really
had that
good.
today.
Yeah.
See how that goes. Yeah. So,
Hopefully,
see how that goes.
I've heard that my cruise line as well are doing cruises around the UK and they're putting a cast on. So hopefully there might be a prospect of a cruise job in the next, if the UK cruises
That'll be
are
good.
successful, then maybe June and July will bring some cruising around with it.
Very nice.
So we said in our last podcast, if you tuned in, we hope you enjoyed it. We said we were going to talk about confidence. And so what I've done is I've put together a list of tips that I think are just like the Bible for anyone who is, well, I just think anyone in any line of work, in any area of their life. I think these you can kind of apply to anyone. So what Amy doesn't actually know what these tips are. So I'm going to read them out and then we're just going to talk about each one and see what Amy thinks about them.
Okay.
Amy the wise oracle. Let's see what she has to say.
Oh my goodness.
If
No
Amy
pressure.
disapproves, then I'm scratching them out. So the first one for confidence is know your strengths.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah. So, and I think it's good to actually identify what they are, because the thing is, not everyone can do everything. You know, there's always going to be little areas that you think, that's not particularly for me, but this is. You know, whether you're a singer and you think, for some reason, I just really struggle with, like, I don't know, lower, more jazzy songs, but I feel really comfortable in opera. You know, it's identifying those strengths and just owning them, basically, and not beating yourself up about the things that you aren't capable of.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's looking at the positive from that. So obviously you've got your strengths, you know what you're good at. And even if you know there's something that maybe you're not so good at, then it's a case of if say, I don't know, you've had feedback, say like what you do in my industry is you'll do your project, then you'll get your feedback from your tutor. So obviously then when you're there, you'll start to learn what you're good at, what you're not so good at. But the things that you're not so good at is what you can then take forward and focus on, whilst you're kind of learning, like you've got your strengths and you know what they are. I feel like I'm babbling now.
No, I think you're exactly right. It's like what we said last week in the podcast. It's about knowing yourself, isn't it? And knowing, okay, these are the things that are my absolute calling. So if I have an audition, this is where I shine. And I know that this is how I'm going to present myself. And then the things that you feel a little bit weaker on, those are the things that going forward you can work on.
You can work on. And I mean, even I'm doing it at the minute with my designs. I know what I'm not so strong at. So for example, I didn't really drape very much when I was in college, so I know how to kind of make a pattern, a flat pattern where you basically kind of calculate all the measurements, and you don't do it from a mannequin, you basically just do it straight on the table. So you like, for example, like make a pattern for a blouse or something like that. So I know how to do that, but my strengths lie in the flat pattern making. And I've noticed that now, because I really didn't work on their weaknesses when I was at university, now going back and doing that. So I bought a draping book. So going back and doing that and learning that is still, even though you've been through university, you might not have, but you've been through, you're at that point now, and I'm like 30, so I still working on things from uni, still working on things when I was 25. And it helps, because even if you're sort of at a point where you want to start a business or whatever, like I did, you constantly growing and growing and working on the weaknesses, and the strengths as well are getting even better. But yeah, even looking at me, I'm still working on it and still developing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think as well, it's important to remind yourself of the strengths, because
Mm,
particularly in my industry, this is another one of my tips that we'll get to in a bit, but there's a lot of comparisons, there's a lot of I wish I was more like that or more like her, or and I think it's so important to know these are my strengths and this is what's unique to me and this is
yeah.
what I own. And a lot of the time the strength, you are the strength, your uniqueness, your own personality. A lot of people will say there's only one you in the world, and that's your
Mm.
strength.
Yeah, exactly. You bring you.
Yeah, exactly. When you walk
Yeah.
into an audition, and I used to do this. I used to go into auditions. I still do. All my family take the mick out of me for having a posh voice.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I used to walk into an audition and make my voice even posher. And I don't know, it was just like I just felt the need to be better spoken. And I
Right.
remember one of my tutors at GSA was like, "We love your northernness. We love that accent because it makes you you, and it's friendly and it's warm and it's funny.
Mm.
Go into an audition and be, you know, amp up your accent, make it as strong as you want, and talk how you would talk if you were completely at ease with your family and friends." And that them telling me that was like, yeah, yeah. Why am I pretending to be all posh and I don't know, well spoken when that's just not it's not me, it's not where I'm from.
No. No.
So
Yeah.
that's my first tip to get us started.
Yeah.
My second tip for confidence is positive affirmations. So talking to yourself as you would talk to your best friend, because a lot of us have an inner voice that's really criticizes
Critical.
us really harshly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I agree with that completely. There's one thing that there's one thing that a lot of people talk about doing, which I don't really agree with though, which is the whole kind of, they take positive affirmations to the extreme. So it's like, would you wake up in the morning and you need to write down three things but I mean, I've never done that, and I wouldn't say that you need to you need to do it in that extent, like before bed, like make sure you write down three positive statements throughout the day. I don't think that's needed, and I think that's quite hard to do, if you already have quite a critical self voice in your
Yeah,
head. So I would maybe like just as soon as you kind of hear it, just challenge it, and you need to look at it. And what I do when I get them is I will maybe answer, or like I will picture you or something, like telling me, like like if I hear it, it's like, oh Amy, you're really rubbish at this. And then I will sort of picture, if you replied, or like if I said it to you, like that, like try
yeah,
and imagine as if you're saying it to somebody else. Is like, that's how I kind of tend to deal with them.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because the way we
So
talk to ourselves, we would never dream of talking to another person like that. We're so harsh to
no,
ourselves.
no, exactly. And sometimes it's hard if you've kind of been doing it for so long, you don't really notice that you're doing it. But but it is there, and especially in a creative industry, you're like you were saying before, you're constantly kind of comparing yourself, and you'll get negative thoughts that are just like, "Oh, oh my god, that drawing is awful," and then you've got to talk yourself around. So, like yesterday when I was doing my designs, I was just literally doing some really quick doodling, some inspiration, and I was just sat there with blank pages doing nothing because I just had such critical thoughts in my head.
Mm.
And I just thought, why am I worrying about what it's going to actually turn out like? Because it's in my sketchbook, no one's seeing it, and
Yeah.
and it's just you just do it without realizing. You just sitting there thinking this is ridiculous. Like, who's going to see my picture? No, unless I decide to take a picture for it and post it on social media. And even then, I'm thinking, well, I'm in the complete design phase, the complete initial research bit, where it's meant to be messy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of an example of the thoughts in practice. So I don't know if you've got any examples of what you maybe had when you were doing
Yeah.
your singing and performances.
Well, the thing is, it's really, I bought my mum a book yesterday, and it's all about habits and how you can really quickly get into a habit. And if your
Mm,
habit is negative self talk all the time, you will just feel that way about yourself constantly. And so, at first, with the positive affirmations, I remember when I was at drama school, my biggest insecurity, I think, when I first started was in dance, because I
mm,
was just so comfortable with singing and acting that dance was just something that I'd never really done before. And I used to be in a dance class, and I just had this voice in my head constantly that was, "You look really silly doing this."
oh
Look,
yeah.
even looking at myself in the mirror, thinking everyone can see that you're like really uncomfortable, and just constant negative thoughts that would bombard me and they would overwhelm me.
Mhm.
And I remember one day I was like, I need to nip this in the bud, because it's gonna sabotage my career if I keep doing this. Or I'd be in auditions and that voice would be like, "You look silly compared to everyone else here." And
Yeah.
I was like, right, I need to rewire my brain now. And at first, I didn't believe it. I would be in the studio and I think, "You look great. You look like a hip hop dancer. You're doing really well."
Yeah.
And I would just have that voice. Like you said, I would challenge the thoughts. So every time a
Mm,
thought was like, "You look silly," it was like, I would say, "You know what? You don't look silly." And also, everyone else in the room is probably feeling just as, insecure as you are. Don't
mm,
single yourself out. And the more I did that, and the more I like challenged those thoughts and immediately replaced the bad with the good, I started believing it, and I started being like,
yeah.
"You know what? I'm nailing this routine and I actually look pretty good doing it." And
Yeah, you
it
do.
yeah, and it's really powerful how influential that voice in your head can really be. Because if
Mm,
you go into an audition and that voice is a bad one, and it's telling you you have no chance of getting this audition today, it's gonna you're gonna manifest that, and it's gonna happen because you
no,
are what you
exactly.
think.
What
And
is oh yeah.
go on, what were you gonna
I
say?
was just gonna say what I keep hearing is fake it till you make it.
That's
Like
so
that
true.
it is that has come up every single day. I don't know whether I'm just repeating it in my head. I've no idea, but I'm sure I've watched something that it was in, and it was like fake it till you make it. Yeah, and I just keep that fits this scenario.
Yeah, and it's so true. And you know what? The amount of people that have said to me, "You're so confident, like you come across so confident." And it is literally, I faked it till I made it. Like
Yeah,
that voice in my head, I just conditioned it to be a friendly, helpful, positive voice, as opposed to one that was always wearing me down.
yeah,
And now
yeah.
I feel like, because I've got that as a habit, it's with me all the time. So yeah, I think it's learn to turn that voice into something that's going to get you further in life.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, I was doing Zumba about half an hour ago, and you should have heard what was going on in my head. It was like, oh, you look so daft. Oh, she's wiggling her hips. Your shoulders don't move. And I was just like, just trying to dance. Like, stop it now.
Yeah.
So annoying. But it's just
Yeah.
something you have to deal with, isn't it? And
Mm.
I think that the longer I think especially with me, the older you get, the more you can deal with it in different ways, and
Mm.
you learn to get creative with the way you respond to it. Like with my work, yeah, oh, this drawing's awful. Yes, but I'm learning, I'm learning. It's gonna be bad to start with.
That's it.
You've just got to think like as if you're talking to your tutor, and your tutor's like, Amy, you're learning. It's like,
Yeah, that's
okay.
exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So
And
fun.
and then that brings me on to our next tip, which is don't ever compare yourself or try to be like anybody else.
Okay. I um see, yeah, I agree with that actually, because I think everyone's like we were talking about, everyone's a them. We're all an us. I'm a me, and um
I'm a sim.
yeah. Yeah. So so you've just got to be you. And
Mm.
I was doing a masterclass the other day, and it was Diane. I don't know whether I say her name right. Diane von Fusenberg. So she's a
Ooh.
print designer. I think I said her name right, but she's a really big print designer in New York, and she was basically saying on that as well. It's like people are waiting for you to launch your clothing line, or to create your performance, to release your single. And
Mhm.
it was really nice because it was like, oh, okay, that's really nice, because um I've completely lost my train of thought. It's gone. um what was I saying, what was I talking about?
People are waiting for you.
Yes, that was it. So yeah, she was basically saying, like, people are waiting for you. And no, it's gone. It's gone completely. What was we talking about? You might have
So
to skip.
so yeah, basically, and the thing is, someone said to me, everyone has their own light, like their own light. And
Mm.
if you ever if you're trying to stand in someone else's light, you won't ever be able to. You have to find your own light and stand in it alone.
That was it. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I've just remembered what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that I like that. You're standing up, but yeah, not comparing. So I remembered now. If you want me to carry on.
Yeah, please go on.
So yeah, she was sort of saying about, you are an individual, and the world is waiting for you. And if you're constantly comparing yourself to the best, like Alexander McQueen, or you want to, you think you're the next Vivienne Westwood, or you want to, it's more about looking at them as mentors and guides, and aspiring to be like them, not comparing. Because if you compare yourself to someone who is, say, I compare myself now starting out to be the next Diane von Fusenberg, who's been doing it for years and years, then you have no way you're going to live up to them expectations.
Mm.
And I just really like what she said about, if you're really nervous to put your stuff out there, then no one's ever going to see it. So, and it just made me feel really sad, because I was like, that's really true, isn't it? It's like if you don't ever do it, then no one else is going to do it, because only you can do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
was nice.
definitely. Yeah. I love that. I love that that tip. I think that's one of my favorites actually. And you know
Yeah.
what? Look at all of the huge people that have names for themselves, like, you know, people like I mention Lady Gaga a lot, but
Mm.
just being completely like unapologetically themselves, and I think the world is ready and welcoming for people to just step forward and to just be themselves.
Yeah, I think so. I think you just need to kind of look at it that way, as like, I'm not going to compare, but I am going to learn from them.
Yeah,
And I maybe take
definitely.
that's it. And you sort of, you maybe take the best aspects, and you might think Lady Gaga, well, um, I love the way she dresses, so I'll take inspiration from her. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you, the only reason I would say to compare would be if you're not as a person, it'd be more from a business perspective. So like what I would do is compare my website to a big fashion brand, or like whoever it is that again I want to aspire to have a similar website, and I'll just take elements of that and and redo it, but in your own way. So like
Yeah,
I've done with quite a few Instagram videos, ones that I really liked, yeah,
yeah,
and tweaked
definitely.
them and made them my own.
Yeah. And I think on that
Mm,
same point, we'll move on in a sec because we don't have, well, we've only got about 10 minutes left. But it's very easy, especially for a lot of people that I see in this industry, to look at people who are at the same age, but who are at a different point in their career. And for them to kind of beat themselves up and think, I'm 25, I haven't been on a West End stage yet. Things like that. And I think it's important to remember that your path is unique and it's not going to match anybody else's path. And just because you're at a different point in your career to somebody else, it doesn't mean that there's any more or less success to be had there, because everyone is on a completely different and unique path.
yeah, definitely. Everyone's got their own demons. Everyone's going their own way.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
definitely.
is so true. And like even at 30 now, you know, a few years ago it was like, oh, at 30 we'll have our own house, we'll have our kids, we'll probably be married. I've not got any of that. And to be honest, it's completely changed from like what you would now see. People my age are now still living at home with their friends,
Yeah,
and you think like comparably they would have, like you said, had a house, had a, and it's just,
yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
strange.
That's it. So, the next tip is, remember that every single person is human and has their own insecurities. So if you're lacking in confidence, remember that everyone is human. And this particularly, I spoke about it on Instagram. A lot of us go into auditions and we look at the panel and we just see frightening, powerful people sat in front of us. And we
Mm,
put them on a pedestal and we think, I really have to impress these people because they can do so much for me. But actually, it's a level playing field because we're all human. And even the most rich and powerful producers go home at night and have the same experiences and thoughts that you do.
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's true. Kind of forgot the point again. I'm not doing well today.
So basically, just that every single person is human. We're all
Yeah.
equals. And so
Oh,
if
okay.
you're feeling unconfident, whether it's presenting your work to somebody, whether it's meeting someone that might potentially, has is in a position of authority, just remind yourself, this person's human, just like me. There's no
Yeah.
one here that's more or less important, because if you put them on that pedestal, you're just giving them power, and by giving them that power, you're kind of lessening your own power, and what
Yeah.
they do is way more influential over you than if you were to just see them as someone that's equal.
Yeah, that makes sense. And see, I never really had that worry, but what happened was when I worked in my last job was that I was unfortunate enough to work with someone who really I'm trying to put this in a diplomatic way, but who it might be the way I think about it, but like when I was in a job, I never thought of people with bigger titles as being superior, or oh, this scary person. That I never thought of that. And then this person who I worked with came in and sort of made me feel lesser, and that opened up that world for me that was like, oh, because it was sort of, for example, we used to like go on LinkedIn and we'd find people that would maybe want to contact with, and I never thought like, oh, this person's like a CEO of a company, oh my god, they're massive, they're going to be this scary person, this person that I work with put that in my head, and then I noticed that that really impacted me after that, because I was thinking, as the role that I was working in, should I be approaching people like that? You know, am I lesser? And yeah, that was my only really experience with things like that, because
Mm,
I just don't think about it. And I mean, I get what you mean. I mean, if I was in the room with like Vivian Westwood and, you know, three other designers, you would be thinking, whoa. But yeah, everyone's got to start somewhere. And I think, again, look at them as mentors and learn from them rather than being intimidated,
mm.
um, or thinking that you know, making them feel that you're lesser and not as qualified or as good.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And I think it's also important to remember that everything that you think and feel and have to say is just as valid as what they have to say. You know, regardless of their position, of their
mm.
level of authority, your voice is just as valid as their voice.
Yeah, exactly. Even if some people don't think that it is, but it
Yeah.
is.
And I think
It
that's
is
something
just as
that's,
valid,
yeah,
regardless of
that's
what people try and push you down or try and tell you.
yeah. And that's something, especially in theatre, a lot of people now are speaking out and saying, actually, I experienced this, this, and this when I was either in a show or I was at drama school. And at the time, they didn't speak out because they felt like they had to just accept that treatment because these people were more powerful and more authoritative than them. Whereas actually now people are like, no, you know what? I have a voice and I'm not scared to use it,
Yeah,
which is really good. I'm really happy that all of it is coming to light.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, I have two more tips, so we'll fire through them quickly. The next one is take what other people say with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
Um, Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I think don't be too easily influenced by the opinions of others.
I'm just writing this down before I
Yeah.
forget. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah, take what other people say. So, yeah, just take, you know, if say for example, someone's giving you some feedback on something, you really wanted some feedback on a piece of work that you've made, then you need to see, I'll take this for an example from what I did, was I put on a group on Facebook, please can you give me some feedback on my website? And the results that I got, you some was quite negative, quite critical, some was quite positive, but you've got to take that and you've got to think, well, you know, let's look at the sources. Let's think, you know, a few of the people in there that were critical were actually competitors that I didn't realize. So again, it's like, yeah, take what other people say as a pinch of salt. So don't believe everything that someone's going to tell you, and just take what you need from it.
That's it, yeah. And I think
Mm.
also we need to remember that art is always going to be subjective. You know,
Yeah.
what me and you have to offer is always going to be a matter of taste. And some people, unfortunately, it just won't be to their taste. And they might be vocal about it. You know, I've had people say to me, I don't like the way you sing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to be thick skinned and say, all right, that, you know, that's absolutely fine. I respect that you don't like the way that I sing. What I don't take from that is, oh, I must be a bad singer, because that's not the reality of it, you know?
No, no, definitely. And I think it is, it's like you said, it's like some people they just won't like it. It's like with design, and I don't know whether it was again the masterclass that I was watching or whether someone's just told me it. It might have been my coach, but they were basically saying, yeah, you know, just put what you have to offer out there. It might not be sorry, it might not be everyone's taste, but them possibly them 100 people in the world, they're waiting for you, you know, they're
Yeah,
waiting for you to do your work, even if it's just, yeah, 5 people, you know,
yeah.
just get it out there.
Have you seen that video of Lady Gaga over and over going, there could be 100 people in the room and just one? believes in you, and she's talking about Bradley Cooper, but
No.
she says it at, like,
Oh.
every single press event, so there's, like, 20 different versions of her just, like, reiterating that quote over and over again.
Oh, that's funny. But it's true. It's like with my fashion when I did my graduate collection, you know, it was out there and it was weird and people were looking at it thinking, "I thought you made clothes. That isn't clothes."
Yeah.
But then you think, well, you know, one person could think that's really inspiring and decide, "Oh, do you know what? I'm gonna make a top that looks like that or something." And you've made one person feel better.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Mhm,
100%, yeah.
mhm.
And then my final tip is the road to success isn't a straight one, so just remember that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, ups and downs, there's, like, trapdoors, there's
Yeah, there's
Narnia.
snakes, there's ladders.
Yeah, yeah. There is
Yeah,
no one path, and even when you look at, like, read biographies of people and you realise no one's had a straight path, you know, Alan Sugar, read his biography.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so if you're ever lacking in confidence and you think, "I'm not where I wanna be in my life right now," remember that you're still on an upwards incline. There might have just been a little dip in that incline,
Yeah,
but ultimately you're still on it, you know?
yeah. As long as you go in the right direction, that's all that matters really. It
Yeah,
doesn't
as
matter
l
how you get there.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So those yeah, those are my tips, which I think hopefully they do apply to people in all different works and areas of life.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's they're really good tips. I didn't really have any more to add, to be honest. I would just say about making sure that you know you taking criticism as well. You can take criticism and that you learn from it, and um, keep keep asking for it. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep putting yourself out there, and you know it'll happen.
Yeah, that's an amazing tip actually to ask to be humble enough to say, "Yeah, can you help me? Can you give me a little bit of advice?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. I love that. So yeah,
Mhm.
hopefully for people who are listening, hopefully this resonates with you and you can take some good from all of this.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe next week we should have more of a fun kind of light-hearted. We've had a couple of serious ones in a row now, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we'll have a little think and see what we can do.
Yeah, maybe we could play a game or just do something fun for next week.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, and hopefully I won't keep forgetting things, so
Yeah. Oh.
Oh dear.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's listening and Amy for hopefully approving of all of my tips.
Yeah, definitely. Very good. A plus.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week for episode 8 of Sister Business.
Yeah, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.